Welcome back to Dreamtime Adventures. The Burg was usually a cheerful place filled with laughter and playing children. But lately, something strange was happening at the edge of town, where the Whispering Woods began their mysterious sprawl. Charlie, did you hear that? Josephine asked her brother as they walked along the forest edge. The siblings had been gathering berries for their mother's famous summer pies when a soft sound caught their attention. Charlie paused, his basket half full of juicy blackberries. Hear what? Listen, Josephine whispered, standing perfectly still. And there it was, a gentle voice, almost like the wind itself was speaking. Josephine. Charlie's eyes widened. It said your name! I know, Josephine nodded. And yesterday, Mrs. Appleblossom told me she heard someone calling her while she was picking herbs. But no one was there. The siblings weren't the only ones who had noticed. All across the Burg, people were whispering about the whispers. Children no longer wanted to play near the forest edge, and even the bravest adults felt uneasy walking the forest paths alone. Mayor Marie called a special town meeting to address everyone's concerns. The Whispering Woods have always been peaceful, she explained, but these strange voices are scaring visitors away and making our own townspeople nervous. We need someone brave to solve this mystery. All eyes turned to Charlie and Josephine. We'll help, Charlie declared. My blue dragon buddy can give us a view from above, while Josephine and her unicorn Pinky can explore from the ground. Perfect, Mayor Marie smiled with relief. Just be careful and report back what you find. Early the next morning, Charlie climbed onto Buddy's broad blue back. Let's start by mapping where the whispers are strongest, he suggested to Josephine, who sat atop her majestic unicorn Pinky. Good idea, Josephine agreed. I'll talk to people around town and mark down exactly what they heard, while you and Buddy look for anything unusual from the air. And so their investigation began. Charlie and Buddy soared over the treetops, noting places where the wind seemed to swirl in unusual patterns. They spotted a deep valley hidden among the trees and several clearings that might be important. Meanwhile, Josephine and Pinky went from house to house, carefully recording everyone's experiences. Mr. Pickles, the baker, had heard someone asking about his famous cinnamon rolls. Little Timmy had heard giggling that sounded just like his best friend. Old Mrs. Whittleby had heard someone singing a lullaby from her childhood. The whispers seemed loudest at dawn and dusk, Josephine noted when they all met to share their findings, and they happened most near the eastern forest edge. I noticed something interesting from above, Charlie added, unfolding his hand-drawn map. There's a strange wind pattern that flows from this hidden valley, through these three clearings, and right toward town. But wind doesn't whisper people's names, Josephine pointed out. Let's test some theories, Charlie suggested. First, let's check if it's just the wind blowing through hollow trees or strangely shaped rocks. The next day, they examined dozens of trees and rock formations. Some did create whistling sounds when the wind blew, but nothing that could explain the clear voices people had heard. As dusk approached, Josephine noticed something sparkling in the treetops. Charlie, look! What's that? High in the branches of the tallest trees were unusual crystal formations that caught the fading sunlight, sending rainbows dancing across the forest floor. I've never seen anything like that, Charlie marveled, asking Buddy to fly him closer. These crystals seemed to have grown right out of the tree bark. Just then, the evening breeze picked up, and the most extraordinary thing happened. As the wind passed through the crystals, it created sounds. Not just any sounds, but whispers, words, and even snippets of songs. Listen, Josephine gasped. It almost sounds like birds singing. Charlie's eyes lit up with understanding. That's it. These crystals must be catching sounds from somewhere else in the forest and reflecting them, like nature's own telephone system. They followed the direction the crystals seemed to be pointing, which led them deeper into the forest toward the hidden valley Charlie had spotted from the air. As they approached, the most beautiful melody filled the air. Not whispers this time, but clear, bell-like singing. In the valley, nestled among flowering trees, was a colony of birds unlike any they had ever seen. Their feathers shimmered with iridescent blues and purples, and their beaks opened to release songs so complex and varied they almost sounded like words. Echo nightingales, Josephine whispered in awe. I've read about them in books. They're incredibly rare. They can mimic any sound they hear and incorporate it into their songs. So when they hear people talking near the forest, Charlie began, they learn our names and words, Josephine finished, and sing them in their songs. Then the special crystals catch those songs and reflect them back toward town. But by then they sound like mysterious whispers. Everything made sense now. The birds were singing fragments of conversations they'd overheard. The wind carried these songs through the crystal formations in the trees, and the crystals reflected and sometimes distorted the sounds, creating the eerie whispers that had frightened everyone. We have to tell Mayor Marie, Charlie exclaimed. These birds aren't scary at all. They're amazing. But first they had another idea. Working carefully, they adjusted some of the crystal formations, turning them slightly so they would redirect the sounds away from town and toward a beautiful meadow instead. Then they helped create a special pathway and listening area in the meadow where people could come to safely enjoy the remarkable songs without disturbing the birds. When they returned to town with their discovery, Mayor Marie was overjoyed. Echo nightingales. They haven't nested near the Burg in over 50 years. This is cause for celebration, not fear. The news spread quickly, and soon the mystery of the Whispering Woods became the pride of the Burg. Visitors came from far and wide to hear the Echo Nightingale's songs in the special listening meadow. To honor Charlie and Josephine's clever detective work, Mayor Marie declared an annual Whispering Woods Festival where townspeople would gather to share stories and songs, knowing that the nightingales might be listening and might someday sing their words back to them. You know what I learned from this adventure? Josephine said to Charlie as they sat in the meadow, listening to the birds sing as the sun set. What's that? Charlie asked, watching Buddy and Pinky playing together nearby. Sometimes the things that seem the scariest just need to be understood, she replied thoughtfully. The whispers weren't magic or monsters. They were actually something beautiful that no one recognized. Charlie nodded. And we figured it out by working together. You asking good questions on the ground, and me seeing patterns from the air? As if in agreement, one of the echo nightingales sang out a perfect imitation of Josephine saying, working together, followed by Charlie's good questions, woven into a melody so lovely it made them smile. And so ended another magical adventure in the Burg, teaching us that curiosity and teamwork can solve even the most mysterious puzzles. Join us next time for more Dreamtime adventures, where friendship, courage, and a little bit of magic make anything possible.